V1, the machine son of man. Hank J. Wimbleton, the deadliest assassin in Nevada. The will to kill. Some may do it for revenge, others may do it to protect themselves, but these two individuals do it simply for the love of the game. To fill an insatiable bloodlust that they just cannot get rid of. Mainly because one of them was actually built that way. So let's see these two merciless murderers paint the world red in fiery Throwdown. Mankind is dead, blood is fuel, and hell is full. Welcome to the bleak and dying world of Ultrakill, where the last sparks of humanity only reside on titanic machines that will rip the earth asunder and left to die in gutters, pumping their viscous red blood through the machines they helped to make. Such a world in which one would prefer to be in hell itself over the scorched and barren earth. Now you may ask, what horrific abomination could possibly find pleasure and even satisfaction in such a world like this? Well, you're about to meet him, as he is one of the last sons of man. To understand this abomination against all that is holy, you must first look at its predecessors. The first of which were the Guttermen. One could only describe such horrific creations as cold iron crits, that of which leached the blood off of the person strapped in its back, forever sealed until the Gutterman itself is destroyed. And of course, a machine such as this in a war is only going to perpetuate the creation of even more machines, massiver and deadlier to counter the one before it. Then there was the gutter tanks, and up we went until the titanic earth movers, which will tear the world asunder. So was the last great hurrah of humanity before it eventually petered out. There was one more machine to counter the earth movers. One more machine to perpetuate an endless and senseless war. V1. Did you like that dramatic tone? Good, because we both know you're just here for the weaponry anyway. And speaking of weaponry, V1 has basically everything under the sun. 4 revolvers, 4 shotguns, 4 nail guns, and not the ones used for construction, unless if you were constructing someone's demise. 3 rail cannons, which are exactly what you think they are. Rocket launchers, 3 of those too. But some of his most dangerous weaponry are actually his arms. His feedback can parry bullets, no matter what. His red knuckle blaster can do that. Yes, he has an arm that is built with 12 gauge. And one of them is built with a grappling hook. And he has gotten very, very far through hell itself with all of this technology at his sometimes literal fingertips. He has defeated Gabriel, the Archangel twice, the Leviathan, King Minos twice, Sisyphus Prime, V2 was meant to be the superior model twice, and of course THR-1000 Earth Mover, which he was built to kill. And this is all in his literally unquenchable thirst for blood, because that is what has driven him this far through hell. Because V1 was built with the power source of the blood of his enemies, which is his only fuel, and if he runs out of it, he will die. Which, ironically, he is terrified of dying, which implies he is sentient. But at the end of the day, to hell and back, V1 is the supreme machine, and he will show us on fiery Throwdown. Somewhere in Nevada. Violence, chaos, carnage, mayhem, terror. The protagonist, Hank J. Wimbleton. For a world inhabited by grey punching bag dummy people, it gets pretty violent, with a wide cast of all equally lunatics actually. We have an insane zombie doctor clown, Jesus' one bad day, and whatever the auditor is. But surprisingly, we're just here for a man. A very not ordinary man. Hank J. Wimbleton is absolutely ridiculous. But you kind of have to be if you're the main character of Madness Combat. I mean, it's in the title. Everyone has to be a little mad here. To say Hank is unstoppable is an understatement. In fact, we can't even list all the people that he's beaten. We quite literally do not have the time. And that's the same for weaponry. He has basically everything. For a quick lightning round, he's beaten the Self-Eater, Jesus multiple times, the Sheriff, Tricky the Clown multiple times, even in like demigod-ish forms, the AHW, which is an organization specifically designed to kill him, on multiple occasions as well. He has an absolute menagerie of firearms, pistols, shotguns, machine guns, SMGs, laser weaponry, soul-destroying weaponry. That's not even talking about the melee weapons, knives, swords, chainsaws, fire axes, lightsabers, soul-destroying lightsabers in fact, electric swords, or if he isn't finding a weapon off the floor somehow, he'll just rip someone else's head off and use that as a weapon instead. And worst of all, the Prime Blade, which he used to put down the godlike Self-Eater. Self means soul, by the way. And this abomination is possibly related to the creator of the Madness Combat universe as well. Yeah, this is the sort of stuff that you can't just watch the original animation series and go, oh yeah, he's just a guy with a gun. Because no, he's a guy who kills gods and decides to use guns as well. Wait, is this the Doomslayer? But either way, if you ever find yourself in Nevada, remember that a battered body will always be denied death to grant it back en masse. Alright, we've blazed through their backstories and... oh, that's weird, the fire isn't playing. Oh, that's right. We have a certain set of rules for this specific fight today. Due to the nature of Hank J. Wimbleton's ever-changing arsenal, he will be allowed every weapon in his series, except for the Prime Blade and the Halo. He will also not be able to access the Mag Hank transformation, seen in episodes 9 to 12. As the Halo, the Prime Blade and the Mag Hank transformation requires outside help, which is not allowed on Fiery Throwdown. On the other hand, V1 gets everything that he would normally have, as thankfully V1 has less controversial weaponry that he can have access to at all times. Now, shall we commence the Fiery Throwdown? Well, if V1 is for what's to come for the AI uprising, might take a while. Now, this might look a bit odd, but after some somewhat careful consideration, Hank just had all the tools necessary to put down the Son of Man. Specifically, the dissonance weapons. Dissonance weapons could just send people to the other place, which is essentially Manda's Combat's Hell, which is quite effective. It can resist Project Gestalt's quantum machinery defenses. Yes, that's real words in that order. And also cause casualty to get a tad messy. Like when Hank fought himself once. Yes, that happened. But technically it was a bit of himself and not really him. But we'll be getting to that. But looking deep into the madness lore, if you mix dissonance weapons with just a little bit of an unknown substance, you can get the idea and concept of chaos itself, and fire it out of a gun. Which is why, in game, when you shoot it, all reality gets a bit messy, because it's literally just warping reality around it. That's how powerful it is. Safe to say, V1 can't really combat that. But what about Universal V1, you were saying? Well, there's a lot of hyperbole mixed in there, as well as... But at the same time, if you want to take that, then you have to think, wait a minute, Hank has quite a lot of hyperbole in his arguments as well. Well, if you want to believe that, then that's fine. Let's put both at their strongest levels that we can possibly put them. And at that, Hank still wins. Here's why. So, as I was researching, and as I was finishing up our little lovely fight, turns out, yeah, Hank just has the Prime Blade, which, if you didn't know, is connected to the creation of all of Nevada, which is essentially his entire world, including the fourth dimension, and is possibly related to God? Yeah. So, that exists, but, well, V1 was faster. He just has so much better mobility, it is crazy. But if you want to believe all of this, you want to go as much far as you want, we're going to have to talk about Hank's immortality, which is the main reason why, even at both their peaks, Hank still wins. So the higher powers are a bit weird. At first, you might think that's outside help, which technically it is, but that still leaves the other place. Yeah, the same place that Hank can send people to with the guns. Yeah, he can just go there when he dies. So when Hank's self gets sent to the other place, it goes through torture, hell, all that nice stuff. But if it crawls back out, yeah, he just revives. It's simple as that. But you're probably thinking, well, that might take some time. Well, there can be multiple of these at once. Apparently, thousands. So Hank has thousands of chances to just return back to life on the spot, because time works differently in the other place. Like, minutes are hours in our world, so we can just be there. So eventually Hank will revive, possibly in seconds, and V1 now has to do the entire fight again. Now, of course, V1 does heal from blood, so you could think, well, if V1's just this powerful, we can keep his distance, be fast as possible, chip away at Hank every time he dies, refuel on blood, good to go. But since the Prime Blade and Dissonance will most likely one-shot with what I believe, if you want to believe something different, that's fine, this show isn't always going to be perfect, V1 just cannot keep up with Hank, and in the end, got Ultrakilled. The winner is Hank J. Wimbleton. Next time on Fiery Throwdown, with our first returning combatant.
Dropped this. Silly.